we're live. All right. See, yeah, it's not Super Deformed Gamescast without some kind of a horrific dumpster fire accident happening. So we went through our whole spiel, and we were like, "Hey, here we go. We're talking goofy now." And of course, we weren't live at all. So we restarted it. And since this is SDGC, the YouTube live chat is not working. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that because nothing ever fucking works right on this podcast. I love it. So let's get
a delayed podcast is eventually good.
It is. Yeah. We'll get rid of that live chat other thing there. All right. What's going on, guys? This is episode 69. Hallowed of the Super Deformed Gamescast, and as always, I am one of your hosts, Mr. Megadeth, alongside some of my companions here. The I like to say the little sisters to my spiritual Big Daddy. What's going on, guys? I am ready to talk about some fucking video games. It's been a shit week for me.
Oh, I'm getting over a cold, so I can't say it's been any better.
Yeah, me too. I'm a little deeper than I normally am. This is like the manliest podcast I've ever done.
Dude,
right now.
I noticed that your baritone is a little deeper than usual.
Yeah, maybe it's the Mass Effect. I'm not sure.
It could be. Let me make sure that I actually tweet or retweet this because I am tweeting everything from the official Twitter now, the SDGC Twitter, which everybody should be following, but of course more people are following me. So let me make sure that I'm tweeting this out. There we go. All right, people should start coming in. We've already got a few in there. Guys, it's been an interesting week. Of course, we know that Mass Effect launched. I have not played it yet. I have not touched it. I don't intend to play it for probably some time because I'm still trying to. Excuse me. Ooh, that beer came up on weird on me just there. I am still trying to platinum Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm still playing Zelda. I want to play Nier Automata, which I'm going to start this weekend. And I don't have time for Mass Effect, but I know that a few of the guys on the podcast are playing it. Jeff, I know you're playing it.
I'm playing it.
And JT, you're playing it too, right? JT.
John, why don't you just tell us what we've been playing this week? Why don't we start the podcast that way?
I don't know what you've been playing. I just know you've been playing Mass Effect. Why don't you blow me? How about you blow me? Where's JT? JT, can you hear us? Oh my God, we lost JT.
He's in the call. So.
There he is. Have you been playing? Have you been playing Mass Effect this week?
As I said while I was muted, I've been playing it. And I've been loving it.
All right, so I want to hear Jeff's take real quick because I know Jeff, you've put in quite a few hours, and I think you've probably played it more than anybody else in the show has at this point. I'd like to hear what you think of Mass Effect so far.
I've put in about 12 hours, but I'm not really far because 10 hours of that is just talking to people. Like I've done like one main mission because that's just how I play Mass Effect. I go and talk to everyone, and then after I do a mission, I go and talk to everyone again because all the new dialogue options opened up, and I want to probe every single conversation option and kind of get every little bit of info and kind of background story that I can. So it's going slow, but it's good. I like it. It's not great yet. Like it's just good right now. There's some great stuff, but it's kind of a little bit of a mixed bag. I mean, I don't need to touch much on like the animations or the faces.
Are they really that bad?
Some of them, yes. And I guess what's surprising to me is that they aren't just random NPCs. There's one main character on the Nexus, which is like the new version of the Citadel.
Yeah. Okay.
She's kind of like a prominent role. That's the one, the my face is tired lady. When I saw that, I was like, oh, it's like an NPC you talk to once, but you kind of actually, she's repeatedly a part of the main story. So that's really distracting. And then there's most of the main crew is actually pretty good. It's just there's one, Suvi, one of your pilots, I find just the combination of her hair and her eyes and her face, and I think the way the light, she's always sitting in front of this kind of control panel and this orange light. The way it all comes together is just super distracting. And when she talks, I'm trying, but I can't not stare at her face. But other than that, 95% of the game, it's not great. It's definitely, I'd say, well below something like Horizon and even Witcher 3. but it's fine. Once I let myself kind of just get sucked in and invested in the story and the characters, it's not bothering me. So I don't think it's really a detriment to the game, but there is some astoundingly bad faces in there for sure. But so for the actual game, it's really good. I think the start is a little bit weird. It kind of drops you into a mission right away, but then you kind of spend a lot of time on the Nexus, and it kind of dumps the whole. It just dumps a lot of stuff on you.
There's like a big
research
exposition dump?
options. Not exposition. You can go and seek it out, but like I said, that's my play style.
It's not mandatory. You don't have to sit there through all these conversations if you don't want to. Like,
Yeah.
it's totally on you. Like, you can explore and like get these cool little side missions that are called tasks, kind of how Horizon does it.
Okay.
Or you can just leave those be and like don't talk to every single person.
Exactly. Yeah, you could go and jump right next to the main one. I guess what it kind of dumps on you is it doesn't. There's like the in-game trading and the resource scavenging, and then there's research points which you use to research stuff, and then developments which you use to develop stuff that you researched. And it's kind of fine once you play around with it. I just think it doesn't really introduce you to it the way it should. It's kind of just there's a whole bunch of stuff here to do and see, and it's just kind of thrown there.
I agree. Like there should have been like a better tooltip system to some of the menus, or like a better like introduction like flow to things, because it's like you're right. It does like start out like, okay, here's the combat, and then like some things are locked initially, like the loadouts, or what do they call them, profiles, and then like all of a sudden it's just like they're there, and then you have all these things to do. You can do all these skill trees that don't really explain like, hey, this skill, it doesn't like flow well. It's like you have to seek it out and do it yourself and then experiment, and then like once you get further in, you're like, okay, I understand how this game works now. But yeah, like there's no like tutorial system for a lot of the menus that have been changed, and so it's kind of wonky.
That actually,
the UI I think is just not great.
So, Jeff, do you mind if I ask you guys a question real quick? I have heard a lot of criticism leaving not just at the UI, but the fact that there's no more weapon wheel. Is the weapon wheel gone?
No, it's still there.
It's still there?
It is still there. Sorry.
Where did I read that then? I can't remember where I read that the freaking weapon wheel was gone.
You can either bring up the weapon wheel, or you can hold X to swap your guns, and a lot of people don't know that. They like that. That's just a perfect example of the UI stuff. That's never explained. That is never put on any menu or anything that I have seen. It's just something that I saw on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, cool.
I'm playing on PC, so I kind of went into the key bindings and looked at all the controls, so that wasn't as much of an issue. But the gameplay and combat is really good.
Yeah, I mean, all these things fall away, like from the menu stuff, whatever. I don't care. Whenever I can like pick somebody up and send them flying, and then like turn around and like jetpack in the air and like shoot the shotgun this guy in the face. Like the combat is so good. It's so good.
So let me ask you guys this, and Steve, I'd like to hear you speak on the multiplayer after this, because I know that you've played quite a bit of it. So in regards to reviews, like critically, obviously everybody knows it hasn't reviewed as well as say the original trilogy. I went back and I checked the meta. Mass Effect 1 got like a 93, Mass Effect 2 got a 96, and Mass Effect 3 got a 92, I believe.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that.
Yeah, they were all incredibly highly rated in regard games, and now Mass Effect Andromeda comes out, and it's sitting at around a 75 meta, and I don't think anybody should have been surprised at this. I kind of feel like the writing was on the wall for this. And yes, Matt, we are enjoying your loading icon. Finish your call and join us. And yes,
I'm back.
Oh, there he is. Okay, he's back. Look at that. And Gabe in chat says, "Is this the Super Libtard Cutcast?"
Sure is.
Actually, it is.
You're at the right place.
You came, and so what I wanted to ask you guys is, do you feel like so far, based on what you played, and granted you haven't played the entire game yet, do you more or less agree with the review so far?
I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You take point, sir.
It's hard to say. Do you agree with the reviews because you're talking about the meta, or the average score, which is 75, but that means a lot of people have given it 6 and 7s, and a lot of people have given it 8s or 9s. So it's
I guess that's true. So, all right,
which one do I? I think from what I played.
Let's take GameSpot for example. They gave it a 6.
To me, it's not a 6. Maybe if reviewers use the full 10-point scale all the time, it's a 6. The way games are scored, and if you compare it to other games that get a 6 out of 10 from mainstream media, it's not a 6 in any, regardless of the animations and stuff, just the amount of content, the quality of the content, the quality of the gameplay, the level of production on it automatically elevates it to me above a 6, unless it completely falls apart at the end.
See, to me, the meta, I don't even care about the meta. I'm not playing this game because it scored a 75. I'm playing this game because it's another Mass Effect. The combat is amazing. It's another world to explore. I was just talking the other night of how I'm already getting used to these characters and enjoying meeting new people and then recognizing those people. That's why I play Mass Effect. It's this could have scored a 30. And I wouldn't care because it's Mass Effect. I'm a fan of the franchise. I don't care about the meta score or the open critic score or whatever it is. That doesn't affect me.
I mean, it's just trivia.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
it's fun. It's fun to track numbers and compare and shit. But I don't give a fuck about the meta score when it comes to picking. Games
and when you're comparing the scores to the original games, when you look up scores for games that came out years ago, those scores are just a stamp in time when that was released. If you just take that game and transplant it to today and send it out to reviewers, it scores differently because the entire industry has changed. So, all it means is that Andromeda is scoring less relative to today's game environment than the previous games did at that time, but it doesn't mean that it's, in terms of quality, it's a full 20 points less. I don't think there's a huge... if I played this and went back and played 2 or 3, I was actually replaying 1 not long ago. In terms of quality across the board, mechanics, things to do, the level, it's very similar. It's just like GT said, it's just another Mass Effect. It's just that it hasn't taken that jump that maybe a lot of people wanted it to. I don't know if it needs to, but if you're looking for kind of these other aspects of it, other than the combat, to really be elevated, maybe it's been a loaded few months for RPGs too.
It really has. Yeah.
I think that's a fair point, though, Jeff. You can say that it hasn't taken a big leap, but you shouldn't knock it for just continuing what was already good.
But at the same time, I mean, dude, I see where Jeff is coming from, and I actually agree with him. I mean, I talked to somebody a few days ago who told a reviewer for GamesRadar, and he told me. He said, if Mass Effect Andromeda had released in 2011, it'd be a 93.
Well, yeah, Dragon Age. I remember Dragon Age 2. That came out in 2011 and still reviewed.
He told me. He said it's not that Mass Effect Andromeda is a bad game. It's not a bad game at all. It's a great game, but it is. It has not. It does.
Is it a great game? How much have you played?
Oh, no. I'm talking about this is what the reviewer told me.
He thought it was great.
Yeah. He said it's a great game, but it doesn't advance. It doesn't advance that series forward in any meaningful way. It's just more Mass Effect, and if you want more Mass Effect, that's great. It's going to give you more.
It is like a narrative-based RPG. It should push the series forward, I guess. It depends, I guess, in what capacity he's talking about, but.
I just don't think.
In what ways should it, push the series forward?
You have to factor in the 5-year dev cycle and the wait, and people expect after 5 years it to be more than just the same. Now, I'm really enjoying it. At this point in time, I'd give it a solid 8.5.
How far are you in?
But what?
How far are you in?
Not terribly. Okay. But that's just because the multiplayer keeps taking me away.
But I would say it does push the series forward in a lot of ways.
No, I mean, that's what I was about to get to, is just the fact that a lot of people don't give it credit for moving to an open world mechanic, which really does open things up, and the way that they've improved combat in almost every facet.
And the dialogue system is so much better. Like, no matter what the situation is, I have 4 or 5 options, and there's always a response that I like. It's not before where there's the evil and the good.
Yeah, it's not like, I'm Paragon, so I have to choose blue option, even though I don't really agree with what it says. Like, it doesn't funnel you into a path anymore.
And they're not extremes. Like, it's not like an angry response or a super kind response. They all feel really natural and logical. Or there's the more emotional, heartfelt response. But there's always, whichever your style is and however you're feeling at that particular moment, I find there's always something to say that really reflects that. And that's, I think, why a lot of people play these games. And that was one of the complaints about Fallout 4, is that the dialogue in that just didn't let you. And it's a role-playing game. You want to immerse yourself in that role, and it's your character.
The rule with Fallout 4 is always the sarcastic option. Always.
So here's something interesting. Sam Tolbert in chat says his biggest issue is it is impossible to play as a jerk. What do you guys think about that?
From what I've seen so far, Jeff could probably speak towards it more, or Steve if he's gotten very far. But I could see that because there's not like a whole lot of
because the Paragon and the Paragon Renegade stuff is pretty much
answers.
gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't play as like the Renegade before. Like, you can't play as a total asshole. But I've seen there's been confrontational response options or angry kind of retorts, but I haven't been attempting to play that way, so I can't say I've really looked to see what's there. That could be a valid complaint.
You know, and what Matt was saying earlier about how it's kind of they don't get enough credit. I think that's a great point, because this is, again, an entirely new galaxy, entirely new characters, and that's something that's tough to pull off in a series that just relies upon the characters that you already know. Like Shepard lasted 3 games.
On a character.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Like, imagine that. Like,
don't you mean she?
He or she.
He or
yeah,
she. Shin.
You know what? It's a lot like Scrubs season 9. You don't.
Torpdeo, stop interrupting the man when he's trying to make a point.
No, that was.
We don't talk about Scrubs season 9, okay?
Yeah, no, that's
ended at 8.
Because it's based on something you love, but it's an entirely new cast of characters.
No, that was a perfect analogy.
But the characters in this are actually good.
That was really good.
Yeah, it's just strange because like they don't have that set of that cast to like fall back on for like, okay, we already got these good characters. We can add like maybe 1 or 2 more like cool guys. But Liam is so much better than freaking Jacob. Like Jacob had like 0 personality. But
Jacob was from Mass Effect 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
no.
right. Okay. No, he was in 2. Jacob was 2. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
2 and 3's story kind of meshed together.
No. Was he? Yeah, he was.
Yeah, Jacob was 2. He was one of the first guys you get along with Miranda. Yep.
Talking about personality, like I mentioned this in the little write-up I did earlier, but I love the original games. It's some of my favorite of all time, and I love Shepard, but I don't feel like he had a super well-defined personality. He came across as very cold, and at least from what I've seen in this one, like I'm playing as Sarah Ryder, the female, and I immediately feel more of a human emotional connection to her than I did to my Shepard from the original game. And this is, of course, subjective.
Do you feel like do you feel like it's because the voice acting is better for the main character?
I think so. I've heard Jennifer Hale did an amazing job with the Femme Shep, but I did the male Shep for my original playthrough, so I never got to see that. It could very well be, no offense to Mark Muir, but it could be just the voice actor. But I think the writing and her, they just feel like they've given her a lot of charm, and she's got a sense of humor, and she's a little bit awkward, but kind of really outgoing. Like she feels like she actually has, if you ask me to describe like her personality traits, I could kind of do that. Whereas with Shepard, I just feel like he was more, and again, maybe it was just my Shepard, but very kind of militaristic, logical, and a little bit more cold. So, and the other thing I think with the characters, like JT said, like we had 3 games of these other characters. So of course, coming in and playing even like 20 hours of this, it's very hard to, for any developer, any media creator to overcome that. Like, example I'll use is there's a couple miniseries called Band of Brothers and the Pacific, which
Oh, I love
you
those.
should all really
Yo,
watch.
Dude,
They were
absolutely.
both-
No, dude,
something-
fucking fantastic. Yeah.
Something I've observed is because I know tons of people watch these and they watch them in different orders. Whichever one people watch first, they like the characters in that one more because even though they're both based on reality, they're both kind of in the same universe.
Yeah,
And those are the characters they knew first,
There's
and the
ca-
other ones,
Yeah.
they make that first impression is stronger, and it's the same, I think, with something like Marvel movies. You can replace all the current Avengers with new ones, but no one will ever care about them the same as the first ones that they saw in that universe.
Because they've
You're
imprinted on you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think no matter how good these characters were, it's never going to be Shepard or Gareth or Liara. Like it's just, I don't think anyone would ever like them more. But
the first instance, I was surprised by like the improved characterization in Andromeda was whenever you see the cutscene with the Ket leader on the first planet, and it's basically they show a recording that one of their like drones took of the Pathfinder whenever he shows up and does his thing. Like he reaches his arm up and kind of like mimics to this stone to like this is what the Ket are wanting to do. And so the Ket leader comes up and like he mimics what the Pathfinder does. And it's just like it's a moment of characterization where they didn't have to say anything, but you could tell immediately what the motivations of the Ket were. They wanted to do this thing to this stone. And so they're just like, I don't know why I got so caught up on that cutscene because it's just a 30-second thing. But I thought it was really cool to introduce them that way. Like did anybody else like get caught up on that specific cutscene, or is it just me? Like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
I mean, I haven't even played the damn game yet, so.
no, I appreciate it. And the other thing I like about the Ket is, at least so far in the game, the focus is on you're a Pathfinder and you're exploring and settling and trying to build this new world and, establish a life here. And even though the Ket are present, your goal isn't to defeat the Ket. Your goal is to build these worlds, and they're just kind of an obstacle that you're dealing with. They're just kind of there. And I know that'll come to a head later, and they'll become more prominent. But I just like that early on, that's the direction the game goes. It's not there's a big evil dude and you got to stop him. It's this is what you're trying to do, and there's these things over here.
Exactly. Like it's even like mentioned whenever you're running around talking to people in the Nexus. It's like, oh, these Ket, they're like a problem. They're like kind of hindering us whenever we go out and explore and do shit. Like make these what are they called? The not the relays, the things you have to set up in the world. I'm blanking.
They're not called mass relays anymore?
No, like the
outposts or the terraformers or the outposts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So like they mention it when you're out exploring. Like, oh, they're gonna become a problem for us. They're already kind of like they're taking out our teams and stuff like that. So it's not like you're immediately pitted against them and it's like a battle to the death, like you were saying. But it's just like they're casually mentioned as like a thorn in the side, like as you're. Sorry, I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, I can hear you echoing too, actually.
Yeah, but they're a thorn in your side as you're like doing your main objective. So it's cool that it's not like good versus evil. It's like it's good versus you don't know their motivations yet.
And that's one of the things I really enjoyed is that it goes back a little to Mass Effect 1 where it wasn't a universe-threatening scenario at the start. It was just you chasing a single man. It was more, I don't want to say intimate, but I like that Andromeda seems to be more just about the exploration. And it's like the team said, they were going for a different vibe than a Save the Universe storyline. And I'm sure with future installments, we might get something more, threatening and engaging. But right now, it's all about the exploration.
Honestly, I think the most engaging thing right now is Torpdeo's picture, that buffering circle that's been going for the past 20 minutes. It's just absolutely mesmerizing.
It's a very handsome buffering.
It really is, dude. It looks really good. You look really good.
I worked very hard on it. I turned my camera off. I don't know if that changed anything.
I want to ask...
Sorry, when Evolution got shut down, SDGC required the Drive Club servers. That's where we're running off of.
Oh, look at that. Now everything somebody did something and everything got messed up.
Well, you told me to turn my camera off. So
I didn't say. Okay, now it's fixed. Don't do that again. It's fixed now. Don't do that again. God,
I'll do what I damn well please.
But anyway, okay. So now your camera's working again, and it fucked everything up.
All right, I'll turn it back on.
Yeah.
I will just
see. This is the beautiful thing about using. There we go. This is the beautiful thing about using the program that we're using is that so we're not on Google Plus anymore, and it's great because on Skype the sound the volume is so much better. But like, see now it's fixed on the stream. But like, if somebody does something to the to Skype that like messes the order up, it fucks everything up. It's the only thing I don't like about this, and it's something that we're trying to learn how to deal with. I want to ask Steve, are you still with us? Did you take off yet? Steve? He might have had to go take his call real quick. Okay, that's fine. I was going to ask him about the multiplayer, but has anybody else here sampled the multiplayer? Because Steve has played a shitload of it.
Yo, I have not played nearly as much as Steve.
Has anybody played enough to be able to speak intelligently on it?
Yeah, I've played some of it.
Let's hear it, dude.
But,
I want to hear it.
Well, I mean, I've only played probably between the Origin Early Access and PS4, probably like 5 total matches. So multiplayer in Andromeda is all co-op. To my knowledge, there's no PvP.
There is not. It's just like 3.
Got it. Yeah. So I mean, it's just you versus the enemies, the cat and.
So it's like basically horror mode.
There's some. I mean, kind of. It's a little bit. So let me back up a little bit. It's kind of like, taking 3's multiplayer and they've kind of filtered it into the single player a little bit. Like you meet a guy that's like the military advisor on the Nexus, and he's like, "Oh, there's this kiosk that has these like flashpoint mission type things that you can go and do, and they'll help you out in our efforts." So it's kind of like you send out a team. You can either choose to send a team that you acquire through like single player stuff, like kind of like Assassin's Creed, where you send out your assassins and stuff, and then they'll report back and whatever. Or Inquisition, where you would like send people out on missions.
Things.
Yeah, so you can either like if you have teams that are available to you, you can do that, or you can play that mission yourself. And if it's like a harder difficulty or whatever, you may want to just like take over and control your own destiny and play with that's when you play with. What?
No, I see what you did there.
Oh yeah.
There. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, no, that's a good segue though. But I mean, as far as like the content goes, like in multiplayer, there's enemies that I haven't even like seen yet in single player. So I don't know what they are, if they're all the same race or what's going on with that. But yeah, it's fun. It's like Mass Effect. It reminds me a lot of Mass Effect 3 right off the bat.
And I love Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. It was so much fun. Like when they first announced Mass Effect 3 was getting a multiplayer mode, you could just see the eye rolling. Like you just assumed it was going to be the most tacked on scenario, and it ended up being incredibly engaging to the point where new multiplayer for Andromeda, the main reasons I got excited.
And why it works is because you have all these cool powers, right? Like these biotic charges. So like how biotics work in Andromeda, it's like there's a very definite, you charge an enemy and then you detonate an enemy. And that's like the priming and then the engaging part of it. It's like you have to prime an explosive before you detonate it. And so like you have these powers that do that, like you pick up somebody that primes them, and then when you throw them, that like initiates the biotic power in them.
I love combo attacks because you can work with your teammates on it.
Exactly, yeah. So like if you have a combo that 4 people are working on, things can get nuts with like stuff like fire and ice and biotics and tech, like, and it'll show you like in the game, like whenever you do like a good combo, it'll come up like it'll say the name of that. And so it's kind of cool like to mix and match, like, oh man, like, hey, you're Vanguard, so pop your melee attack or whatever, and while I do my other thing. So it's not. I haven't gotten deep into it, so I can't like describe exactly what the names of them are. But it seems very deep. It seems
There's
like
my personal favorite is when you have someone lift them all up with singularity, and you hit them with like incinerate or concussive shot, and it just creates a gigantic explosion.
Yeah. See, exactly, it's stuff like that. And you know the names better than I do.
So look, I do want to ask. I kind of want to segue away from Mass Effect in just a minute, and I want to ask. And I do want to talk about Destiny too, by the way, guys, because that was a big thing that happened today. But before
the leaks.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, there's some shit going on. But real quick, does anybody else have anything to say about Mass Effect? I feel like we've covered everything.
The last thing I'll say about it.
Go ahead, man. No. Go ahead.
The first half is just that it's not as good as the best of the original trilogy, but I don't think it's nearly as deserving of the hate that people have given it because of their quote unquote SJW leanings. I think that got really.
You talking about going after that animator?
Yes.
That was fucking awful. That was a disgrace. Jesus, that was rough. Oh man, yeah, that was a bad fucking time.
And I actually, on that topic, I just wanted to bring to attention, if you guys want to look up Jonathan Cooper at Game Anim on Twitter.
The guy from Naughty Dog.
Yeah, he did a really former Mass Effect animator, actually from the original trilogy as well. He did a nice little Twitter thread on how the animations are handled and why.
I saw that, yeah.
And he does a nice job. He's not excusing it or saying it's okay, but he just kind of gives some insight into why it is the way that it is. And it sounds like it was probably rushed to a degree.
I think the best thing I ever heard, sorry, John, the last thing I'll say, the best thing I heard about Mass Effect was that it was 3 months too late because now it came out after Zelda and Horizon, so the open world RPG bar was raised. And it came out 3 months too early because it just needed time to get polished up and ready for launch. And so it kind of had an impossible release schedule.
Speaking of Horizon, by the way, I finished it. I'm going through my platinum, and damn, the story in that game is so much better than I anticipated.
Oh, right? I'm not kidding when they said that you do not see where this story is going.
That was so amazing, and like.
Oh, I need to get back to Horizon.
Brandon, you need to finish that, man, because dude,
once Zelda came out, Horizon was dropped cold turkey. I put like 4 hours into that game.
Dude,
I played like 15, but I haven't finished it.
Dude, when you get to a certain point in Horizon and you figure out the truth behind Zero Dawn, and Jeff, you know what I'm talking about? Like when everybody's sitting at the table. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep.
Man, I was like,
that one's really good. But even before that, the quest that everyone I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Maker's End. It's
Maker's End, yeah.
Where you find the blank tower, if you know what I mean. The very first time you go up that and kind of piece together what happened as you get to the top. That is everyone. The story up until then is like okay, and then you finish
you think
that
you know
quest.
Where it's going, but you don't.
And you're
By
like,
the way, John,
man.
my new nickname for you is you're just Pharaoh.
Pharaoh, that works. I'm fine with that. I don't want to get too much into spoiler territory. But
no, we'll keep it super vague. But yeah.
But I will say this: that about maybe 2/3 of the way into the game, there are some really dark story beats.
Yep.
I was not expecting the game to get that deep, and there are questions about doing certain things for the greater good that I just I was not expecting. Jeff, you actually put it really well. Like up until that point when you're climbing up the tower, I was like, the story, it's fine, it's interesting, whatever. You know, I'm invested. But once you start getting those really deep story beats, hey, bro, what's up, man, in chat? Once those really dark, deep story beats start hitting, it made me think a lot deeper than I had anticipated. The game's story really makes you think. Oh man, what? I was not expecting that. Like the combat,
and
go
the
ahead.
way No, the way it's delivered is so good too. Like the main story is really good, but all of the little I normally don't give a shit about collectibles, but the little text diaries and audio logs you find.
Oh,
I
went
love
way
the entire game. They hold off. There's never a flashback or a video of what happened before the fall. It's all told through holographs and emails and video voice recordings, and you can kind of. It's like reading a book where you can kind of use your imagination. It's like I have my own image. I have this image in my head of what happened, and I love that it gives me the freedom to picture that myself. It gives me enough to know what happened, but doesn't feel the need to explain and show every single little thing. And the way it all comes together, and the way that some of it's told, it's really like haunting.
No, it is, and it's one of those things, dude. Where like unlike you, like I get collectibles to get because I want the trophy, right? Like I want the platinum trophy, so I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna get the collectibles. But in Horizon, those data logs are so interesting that I make it a point to either listen to everything that is said if it's an audio data point, or if it's a text, you gotta read it. I read everything word for word, line by line, and I rarely ever do that. And just it's such an amazing. Oh, chat is filling up. I like it. It's just so man that Horizon. The combat is great. It's a beautiful game, but man, honestly, my favorite thing about that game is just the story and the way it ended. And there were some hints throughout the story.
Oh, it has a good ending.
Oh, dude,
the ending is perfect.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it really? All right, good.
Stinger.
I'm excited.
Yes. Well, and like Brandon, it very clearly sets up where the franchise is going next, but it doesn't leave you hanging at the same time. Like it wraps up it wraps up the story of that game, and at the same time, you get a real sense for what's happening next.
Jeez, I ate crow so fucking hard on that.
You really did.
I was convinced the Horizon story was gonna be trash.
It made me happy.
I wasn't expecting great things either, to be perfectly honest with you.
I wasn't until I heard they tapped CD Projekt Red.
And that's fine. But like just because he wrote the Bloody Baron quest doesn't mean like the story was going to be amazing.
Yeah, it was just one guy. I mean.
Yeah, but man, they really just knocked it out of the park. And I'm glad the game is selling. It's selling apparently. Like what did they say? It's their best
2.6.
Yeah, that's key. Yeah, it's selling fucking phenomenally. So I would be I mean, I think the two big takeaways from this are, one, I would be stunned if they're not already cranking on that sequel.
Yeah, they are.
And two, I guarantee you, Killzone is done. I think we've mentioned this before, but I think Killzone is dead. They'd be fools to go back to Killzone.
Yeah.
Nah, I think they're gonna. The success will allow them to create a new team to work on Killzone while the core works.
They just closed the other Gorilla team.
Yeah, I don't see it, man. I don't see them revisiting.
I don't know. I'm just saying that's what Naughty Dog does. The Uncharted 4 team was.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Yeah, Naughty Dog hasn't had their studios closed down though. Like,
unless Sony has Insomniac working on another Resistance, they don't have a first-person shooter, and I just can't.
Oh yes.
I can't see. I don't know. They've got racing, and they've got linear, like The Last of Us, Uncharted,
yeah.
and they've got the open world RPG. I don't know, that first-person shooter is a big one to leave out.
And
it is.
Although I will say that shit floating around on Gaff turned out to be absolute bullshit. Like, and JT, I thought of you too when I saw Resistance 4. I was like, oh JT, but it turned out to be garbage. So
I know you think of me a lot, John,
I think of you all the time, especially in the shower.
Here's the thing about that. I think a good chunk of that fake list is pretty obvious. Like,
yeah, that's shit you can
get
guess,
Death
though.
Stranding, we're gonna get Spider-Man, but then they said Bloodborne 2 and Resistance 4. I'm like, nah, we're good. Like, we're gonna get Sucker Punch's new IP, and then the only other two surprises were a Crash Racing remake, Bloodborne 2, and Resistance 4. And those
I have no idea what the fuck you guys are talking about.
Yeah, I don't either. But man, now I'm depressed that Resistance is not on PS4, and we don't have an HD trilogy collection, and I can't play Resistance 2's co-op mode. And
all right, so hold on. So there was a list floating around on Gaff today, and they said, oh, it's Sony's presser conference. Here it is. And it's their E3 conference. Here it is. And people are like, oh my god, Resistance 4 is on there, and Bloodborne 2 is on there, and 8 minutes of Death Stranding gameplay, and God of War. And everybody was flipping out over it, and it turned out to be bullshit. Which is why I said
some guy making his own predictions.
Yeah, and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" And then they were like, "Oh no, it's just somebody doing his predictions," and everybody kind of went. So actually, I wanted to address something that somebody said in chat. Where was it? Higgins in chat asks best combat in an open world RPG for a long time. Yes, in regards to Horizon, yes, absolutely. If you're fighting dinosaurs, if you're fighting humans, it's not quite as interesting or good.
What was the question?
Is the open world combat in Horizon the best in